a Sapphire Running Zone podcast.
Hi everyone, this is Tim from the Sapphire Running Zone. Welcome to another of our podcasts, and this is a really good one today. So we all love the great inspirational stories that we get from these marathons, and we've got a fantastic one today. So some of you may have listened to the one we did a few weeks ago with Clark and Alistair, which was all about the support runner program from the Richard Whitehead Foundation, and we've got another one today. So we've got story of Eleanor and Lisa, who together ran the London Marathon not that long ago. It seems like a long time ago, but it actually wasn't very long ago at all, about 3 weeks. I'm going to start by introducing Eleanor and getting her to talk through her story, and she's very open about her challenges and what it means to be doing the marathon. So, Eleanor, welcome, and tell us a little bit about your history and about why you wanted to run London.
Hi. So I wanted to run London Marathon just basically for myself, but for other people with mental and physical health conditions to show people that you can do it and to help like fundraise. So yeah, I just wanted to do it. I've looked at the TV and was like, oh yeah, I can do that, and I've done it.
Yeah, you certainly did. Now, what conditions do you suffer with?
So I've got quite a lot, but I'll give you a few. But I've got physically and mental health conditions. I've got fibromyalgia. I've got rheumatoid arthritis. I've got clicking syndrome. I've got something called toe patella syndrome. So basically, my kneecaps have never formed since I've been a baby, and it affects all my joints. I really shouldn't be walking. They're still quite surprised how I am. I've got to have hip replacements and knee replacements and back surgery, but I still refuse to because at the end of the day I'm still walking, so I'd rather leave it as that. I have endometriosis as well, PTS, PTSD, PMDD, PMS, anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism.
I think the message for anybody out there who thinks running a marathon is tough, listen to this because, it is tough, but what Eleanor's done with Lisa is super tough and puts all of our challenges into context when we're training for a marathon and go, oh my God, this is hard, that it's wet and it's cold and all the rest of it. It's nothing compared to what Eleanor went through on this run. So talk to us about the process of actually applying for a marathon entry and how you got introduced to the Richard Whitehead Foundation.
So basically I applied through the barrier of the normal London Marathon and didn't get through. And then I done it the year after and still didn't get through. But then I did sat there and thought to myself, well, hold on a minute, how you are going to be doing this on your own? I don't think you'll be able to do this on. You're going to need extra support. So I looked into disability part and found out that you can apply with the London Marathon disability part. So I done that. Spoke to Alex with the disability team. He's been brilliant and supported me all the way through it. And basically got a place to obviously run it this year. And he basically put me in touch with the Richard Whitehead Foundation. Yeah, basically it goes from there of when they put me in touch with them, Casey then called me. They explained as well, Alex explained a bit about what they do and help, which obviously I got Lisa as my support runner from there, which has been brilliant because I wouldn't have been able to have done it without her. And I wouldn't have been able to done it without Alex and Katie and Lisa, to be honest with you, with all of them by my side and helping. Yeah, it's been brilliant from the disability team to the foundation. Katie asked me some questions about my health, physically and mentally, what support I'm going to need, how I'm going to need it, and then just went, right, leave me to that. And then obviously she had to go and find who would be the best person to support me, and then rang me up and said, we've got somebody, she would like to meet you as well. And we all done a FaceTime call, and then it all just went from there.
So it sounds like a bit of a dream team, and we've got we've got part of that dream team with us now. So welcome, Lisa. Give us a little bit about your running background and how you got involved with the charity.
Yeah, so my dad was always a runner. I did my first marathon in 2008, and like like some people, I didn't enjoy it back then. It was one of those. I did some fundraising for the Guide Dogs for the Blind, which was incredible. But that with university and bringing up two young children, I did it. It rained, it hailed, it did everything that it didn't do on our day. Took a bit of a break until 2015. Joined a running club and ended up, don't know, say ended up like you just slide into it, doing about 3 or 4 marathons a year, and ultras, and so on. 2018, 2019, I'd made a promise to a good friend of mine, because I love my park run. It's a really important part of me and my community. And I joined the core team and now run director on a Saturday morning. So, when Eleanor was trying to get hold of me sometimes, it was, "I'll come and see you after park run or do whatever." So, yeah, it's a big part of my life. It's an important part of my own well-being, actually. They're getting outside and that movement. So being able to take Eleanor with us on this journey, and to be able to do that and experience it was, yeah, was a pleasure. And I said that then, and I'll keep saying it now because it really was an absolute delight.
So you signed up with the charity, and then when did you get notified that you would be doing the race with Eleanor?
So I actually signed up about 2 years ago. There was an online request for people just to kind of be the pool of runners, and I didn't hear anything for a good while. As I say, coming up for 2 years, and then about the middle of October, I received an email from Katie to say that there was an opportunity. Give her a phone. She told me a little bit about Eleanor, very little bit. Would it be something that I'd be interested in? And then, as you say, that FaceTime call. I was at the end of work actually. It was, I remember, in the middle of Costa, and the signal was awful and the sound was terrible. But we met each other, and I'm very glad that Eleanor liked me and said that she would be quite happy to work with me. Sometimes with the Richard Whitehead Foundation, you can just be someone who meets on the day, and that's it. And that's, you might have a bit of a WhatsApp, you might meet them beforehand. But Eleanor had asked for a bit of support with training beforehand and wanted to meet me beforehand, which I think actually, going back to it now, was the best thing we ever did. So Eleanor's away over by the coast in Canvey, and so we met halfway, and we met sort of once a month or once every 3 or 4 weeks if we could, to get a bit of a training walk together. And I think it hopefully it definitely gave me a chance to get to know Eleanor and to find out a little bit more about her. Um, and how far to keep going, and to, because I know that the marathon day is hard no matter how experienced you are. And hopefully it gave you a chance, Eleanor, to find out a little bit about me and to know that you're going to spend a good few hours with me on
A
marathon
good
day.
few hours, a good 9 hours.
Time doesn't matter. You got to know each other first in November, and then you saw each other a few times.
Yeah.
What was race week like? When did you meet up? And what were the feelings like, Eleanor? Were you super nervous, or did you take it all in your stride?
I think I was a bit nervous, but we should say my nervousness come out in swearing.
There were a few choice words throughout the week. I think so. Eleanor and I would always get an email, a message each week. So I'd send her I said, just to kind of put it out there, I'm not a qualified coach. I've done 3 of the 4 days of the UK Athletics. I'm not a qualified coach, but it's about that experience and just suggestions of what you could be doing. So I'd always check up on how she's been doing. Just how was that walk? How was, and she would send me voice notes and photographs, because I'm a selfie queen. So if you ever see my social media, you see me, I'm out on a run somewhere. But during that week, I think I got 2 or 3 messages a day leading up to it, and there was food, there was planning to go to the day, because
Yeah.
again, you said about Alex at London Marathon Accessibility Team. I will say him and the team were incredible.
Yeah, they couldn't have been any
They put a
better.
up,
Especially
no, they
doing
put
that meeting and everything as well.
yeah. So all that pre-event advice, what that looks like, things that would be out there on the day. Because what happened after that was Eleanor watched it with her family, and she then wrote me a list of questions and queries. And then when we did meet, so we met 2 weeks before the event, and we did the last 10K of the route, because I wanted Ella to have a bit of a visualization. So when we're tired and it's hard, this is where we're going to see. These are the places to kind of refer back to. And anyway, we sat and we had a cup of tea in St James's Park, And she says, right, I've got a list. And she came out and there were all questions there and really important ones, things that I would just take for granted, but actually really important ones that came about from Alex's webinar. So it meant that she could go into that session and into that day being really, really prepared. I mean, you know, I almost think everyone should have a chance for that webinar because it's the anxiety of getting there. What does it look like? Where will the toilets be? Where do I find this? But yeah, lots of WhatsApps during the week. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the quiet open morning, so they had an hour where it was much quieter. And you said to me, Eleanor, that it was
Oh, that was brilliant.
really helpful.
Honestly, they need to do that every single year because it just really, really helped. I think they need to do it for at least 2 hours, because that hour just went so quickly, and I felt like you could just. It's amazing experience actually, to go round. But the minute that music went on and people were coming in, it was a bit like whoa. But that hour was like bliss to have that to go round.
So when race morning came around, then what was that like? Were you both staying somewhere together, or did you meet at the start?
Well, I was really quite aware that meeting at the start would be like finding a needle in a haystack. And I was coming from Luton, and again, you were coming from Canvey.
Yeah.
So we met at St. Patrick's, and we went the slightly longer way round, but we went a way that we knew again we would be able to find each other safely, securely, without having to fight your way through the hundreds of other people. So we didn't start there's different pens you can start in, and they put a lot of the runners with disabilities in the blue pen, because there was a disability tent in there. But because we knew we were going to be taking longer and we were going to be walking, they'd supported us with a pink start, which meant we could start earlier and still have a chance of trying to finish under the gantry, or as best we could. And we literally arrived, didn't we? We put our things on the truck, and 10 minutes later, we'd started.
What are your memories, Eleanor, of the first half of the race?
Emotional, I would say. I sort of remember bits. It's really weird. I would say it's like a blur. It's like going on a night out, but I wasn't drunk. But I was drunk on, I don't know, like I would say energy and marathon and like your emotions, I think, just took over me on that day. But I remember starting off, and I think I got myself a little bit too excited because I was like, woohoo! I was like, come on, Lisa, let's hurry up, let's go.
Like, okay, well, I'll just go with you. That's fine.
And what was it like when you went over Tower Bridge then? Because that is one of the sort of iconic moments, isn't it?
I don't know how I actually got over Tower Bridge personally. And then I had good old Lisa in my ear going, come on, you can do this. Like, all this hard work you've worked, all in the rain, all in the cold, do you know, all the pain you've been through. You've wanted to do the marathon, so we're doing it. I'm getting you to that finishing line. So come on, get yourself up. Let's go.
Politely, of
Yeah.
course. And I think that was where getting to know Eleanor over those past few months has helped, because I knew more about her. I knew where her limits were. I felt, okay, I can get you to here. If it gets past that point, I would never have put her in any dangerous situation with her health at any point. I wouldn't have done that. She'd done a 20-miler a few weeks beforehand, and we were at mile 5. She said, I don't know if I can do this. Well, you can, because she did 20 miles 2 weeks ago. So we're keeping going.
Yeah.
It was, it was so busy, those first 8-9 miles. Having done it 3 times, this time was just very different again, because you're so aware of all the people who were there, literally cheering every single person on, and you'd put your name on your shirt, and I'm so glad that you did. And I only found out on the day, so I was speaking to Eleanor for the last 4 or 5 months, but I've been saying Eleanor, I've been saying her name wrong, and it was this, oh, Eleanor, so everyone's calling out her name on her shirt. But it was getting to Tower Bridge, and when we got there, it was quieter. There were still some incredible people out there, but actually, I think for us, that's probably what we needed.
I quite
We
liked
probably
it.
need that.
I actually preferred it being a bit quiet, I think, because I think at the start it was too overwhelming. It was like, whoa, and everyone was coming out of everywhere. I think it was because I've never done an event like that as well. So I think if I'd done an event like that, I think I would know. But because I'm stupid enough to put myself into a full marathon and not even do a park run or do anything. I know I wouldn't have done it without you being by my side, because I think I would have just gone, do you know what, I can't do this, and I would have just gone, no.
Just before we started recording, you said that a lot of your health conditions had sort of flared up
Yeah,
on race morning. How much was that having an impact at that point?
a hell of a lot of impact. So I've got endometriosis. So in a nice polite term, as being a woman, my monthly decided to come on very early and decided to give me severe cramps and heavy bleeding. So that didn't help. And then my arthritis and fibromyalgia just flared up. I was physically in pain, and my whole body was just hurting. I thought, to be honest with you, I felt like I got run over by a HGV lorry. That's the way my body felt. Mentally, I just thought I just wanted to give up because the way my body was. And I think I was annoyed because I'd done that 20 miles and I'd done that 20 miles good. And then, yeah, that day it was just like, what is going on with me?
But you'd become prepared. So you'd come with your knee
Yeah.
supports. So we made a decision at about just after Tower Bridge, actually. We went and sat down and you put a knee support
Yeah.
on, and that gave quite some instant relief.
What was the second half like then? Did it get better? And do you remember seeing a lot of the landmarks? Because I've done that race a few times, and every time I do it, there's something new I don't remember from previous years. I'm sure you found that as well, Lisa, in the past. But what do you remember from it, Eleanor?
That was a Canary Wharf. I thought I was going through some maze. I went, we'll be round it soon. And you was going, yeah, it was just round the corner. And I was thinking, round the corner? It's not stopping. It was just like this weird maze that you're going like sort of round. I felt like I was going round in a circle.
The challenge bit with that, though, was that we had and I will say it in two ways, because I'll say it first of all as the dreaded pacer car, because you think, oh my gosh, I'm seeing this yellow van car behind me saying pacer, I'm going to get kicked off the course. And I've seen the history of the course and I know they celebrate every runner, but you were really keen to finish on Birdcage, and that you didn't want to walk on the pavement. So the first aim at Canary, keeping going, was we needed to stay, and if we kept in that pace, we would stay ahead of the pacer. But actually what transpired was, do you know what? Those people are incredible. So as long as we kept moving, we could stay on the road. I think the only bit that we ended up going onto the pavement was at St James's. So we'd gone up past Big Ben. It was literally that last mile. They had cyclists that came up, incredible cyclists. Those Marshall cyclists must have done a good few miles up there, because they were shutting down water stations and things. But it was, do you need water? Do you need gels? Do you need food? Do you need any medical assistance? And then they would cycle off, and then they would chat to you. And then they would say, right, you can stay on the road, but can you just move to this side for me? Because we're going to do this bit of clearing or whatever. But it allowed Eleanor to experience the marathon course without having to go onto the pavement. And I think the biggest bit, and I'll probably cry in a minute for this, Eleanor, because your sister sent me a reel, and maybe that's a link that I'll share with you, Tim, but if somebody had videoed us, every single person who stayed out, and they came and they walked and they clapped us by. And I tell you now, I sat there and I clapped every single one of them, because that's what was keeping us going. It was, well done, you're going. And I was saying thank you, because it was getting late. I think we said 7.5 hours, and we were getting to 8. And then we were getting to 8.5 hours, and it was, we just need to get that medal. That was it. It didn't matter. And I know for a long time you were kind of, for about 20 odd miles, 23 miles, you were going, oh, I'm so upset by it. And I said, you get the same medal as that world record holder. We do the same course. And at that time, it's hard for anybody to hear that. But that video finished, you've seen at the end. Do you know what? Having done Birdcage, I absolutely loved that finish. And it stayed with me, because you got the finish you deserved. You got that proper celebration. It was, and it was funny, because you'd been all that pain, and it was challenging. We got, we walked through, we smiled and we celebrated.
My chest was hurting, my legs were hurting, my stomach was hurting. I had a headache. I felt ill. I felt sick.
But she said at about mile 25.5, we literally about 800 yards up, I can't finish. And I said to you, Eleanor, Alex has told me that if I leave you, I don't get a marathon finish. I have to stay with you. We're at 25.5 miles now. So we're going to go to that finish and we're going to get that one because if you don't finish, I don't get mine. And it was said in jest, and it was, again, knowing Eleanor and hearing and working with her for the past 5, 6 months, it was, okay, I just need you to breathe in and breathe out. Take one step. I just need you to breathe in. And of course, the family were wonderful and they were encouraging and shouting. And I was like, I just need you to focus on one step, one breath. And that's how we got through that last 800 meters
You did,
through St
yeah.
George's.
It was a long. I'll tell you something. I felt like it went on forever. I thought I ain't gonna get to the finishing line. I thought, what is going on?
What was it like when you went over that finish, though? Just tell me what the emotions were like.
Well, to be honest with you, well overwhelming. I cried, I cheered, I was so happy. I thought I'm just glad I done it. But then there was another part of me. I went over it, and all my pain disappeared. And I felt all right. And I thought, oh, I can go and do another marathon. I was all like, Ray, I've done it. And then poor old Lisa went, don't feel very well. I went, yeah, you don't look very well, Lisa. You went, I feel sick. I went, you better go and sit outside because we was getting our bags at this point, weren't we? And then the next minute, I've come outside and you're being sick. 1 minute, she was absolutely fine, been amazing. Like, I've had my own masseuse and my own counsellor and person who's just pushed me through it and has been just such an amazing support and have kept herself together. And then she's got me over that finishing line and she fell to pieces.
Never happened to me before either. That was it. And I literally, and I was physically sick, and all I wanted was that cup of tea that you got me at the station. There
Yeah.
was amazing. But I had her sister. Everything that I'd done for Eleanor for that 26 miles, I was like, someone has to walk me to the toilet. I can't walk.
I'm just thankful for having Lisa and Alex and Katie. And Katie was amazing as well because she even stayed. And that's where we wouldn't have got that video. So I'm so appreciative of Katie for doing that as well.
As Eleanor has said, she hadn't walked a park run. When we first met, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know. I mean, this is someone who hasn't walked a mile for a long time. What's this going to look like? But actually, you were open and honest. I think that's the hardest thing, about how you felt about things and what you needed. But actually, you were an athlete on that day. You were an athlete during that training, and you've really grown. So there's not many people. When we talk about that 1%, you are that 1% who've completed a marathon. But I think, there was a big thing for you, Eleanor, that whilst I know we say we took 9.5 hours or 9 hours, 24 minutes, that is a completely different feat of endurance.
Yeah.
And I think people forget about that. And people say, well, you were the back. Yeah, if you want to experience a marathon, come here and support us and walk this way, because actually it's incredible. What you did and what you pushed yourself through. It's harder to be out there for the time that we were than it is to be out for a 4 hour, 4.5.
And people talk about, hitting the wall at a certain point and so on, but you pretty much hit the wall from the start.
Yeah.
You had to battle through challenges at the start that most people don't have to face really at any point during the marathon. And it's hard for everybody. Training's incredibly difficult for most people, much harder for you. Race day's hard for most people, but again, much harder for you.
I think I realised a marathon is tougher than what I thought in my head. I don't know why, but maybe it was my health when my head wasn't great. But I personally, I wouldn't have done it without the teams of the support and you and my family, my partner, my sister and my brother and my mum and my dad and everybody who was there on that day as well. And the people, as you say, as well, which were cheering me on, staying there for that last moments as well, because you do feel alone when you sort of, everyone starts gradually sort of disappearing. So having them people there, you still feel like you're enjoying that like experience. Don't think I actually realise how hard and how challenging it is. I just think I want to do this and I'm just going to do it. And I sort of, I did do it. So I proved everyone wrong.
It's been absolutely fascinating hearing your story and Eleanor, it's a day you will never forget, and hopefully you get to do it again one day, maybe next April.
I hope you get to do it again with me, Lisa, and support me, because honestly, I'll say to anybody, if you want to do it, and I would definitely go for that support runner and do it for the foundation, because I wouldn't have done it without them.
You were great, and I think that's just a testament to the friendship that we've now got. So I value I've now got a friend.
And a memory for life.
Thanks for listening to this Sapphire Running Zone podcast. Keep checking back as we have lots more podcasts coming soon.